Alright, y'all. So, for Bib's outfit, he wears a blue undershirt, goes all the way down. So, this is really simple to make, just the basic pattern. What I'm going to do first is fold it and sew it. That way, it, sorry about that. That way, it's going to be finished at the bottom. I used a silver fabric or a silver thread for it, but yeah. So basically, this is going to be the outer or the undershirt that he wears. So I'm going to go ahead and sew these. Lay my figure out. I'll sew the bottom first, and then I'm going to come up, come out, come up, come out. So go ahead and do that real fast. Alright, so got it sewn, got it on the body. The length looks good, the arm length looks good. I took the hands off because I'm actually making his wrist gauntlets that he wears, his wrist bracelets. But for this, it looks good. So we're going to move on to his outer robe, which is going to be quite detailed. So stay tuned. Alrighty, y'all. Here's part 2 of the bib outfit. This is going to be the basic pattern that you want. I always make my patterns big, that way I can always cut away because you can't add back on. So first we're going to do is size him up, basically at the top of the shoulders. See how much I have left down here. From there, I'm going to fold up, sew my seam at the bottom. That way this is finished, both sides. Once I have that done, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come up on the sides, and I tapered it like a Jedi robe, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to come up and I'm literally just going to go straight across, because you actually have to cut the sleeves and then fold them in and glue them. But I'll show you that here in a second. So for now, I'm going to fold and sew the seam and then sew on up, and we'll go from there. Okay, so now that I've got it sewn, we've got my seams on both sides, and when I flip it, it'll be nice, it'll look clean. So what we're going to do from here is make your shoulder snip on both sides, or your armpit snip, and then just come up, cut off the excess, both sides, and then in the middle we're going to fold it, make sure it's even on both sides. We're going to make our cut here for our neck, and then once we have our neck hole, we'll just run a cut right up the middle, and then we'll flip it inside out, and then we can start to add the other details. Alright, so here's where it gets a little tricky. I'm referencing the Sideshow Collectibles Bib Fortuna figure, so I'll show you on my other phone here. Basically, he has multiple layers to his outfit. So the robe we made, this is going to be the bottom, the base layer. From there, what you're going to do is essentially cut out and make like you're making another robe, but you're only going to come down to about here. So it's going to be like a really short robe. And what you're actually going to do is you're going to lay it over top of this one, so it's going to have a layered effect. And then what I did on top of that to do or show the bottom layers is I took just a big long piece of fabric, laid it on my machine, sewed it out both sides. So I'm going to cut these into strips, and what they're going to do is actually wrap around the back. So like in the picture here, you can see he's got the 2 more layers. This bottom layer, that will be the original. But then the second and third layer, that's where I'm going to use this. And then that top layer, that's where I'm actually just going to cut out another robe piece, because that is going to go and lay over top of this. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it and sew it, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so what you actually do on your original robe that we made, cut the sleeves, cut the arms. You honestly, you don't even need to sew the arms, but I just did it as that way I had a nice reference. So you're going to cut the arms off and you're going to make it into essentially like a sleeveless tunic. And then here's what I just sewed or sewn. So you're going to cut off the excess. Remember, clip the armpits, that way it has a nice bend to it. Cut off the excess, do the same thing you do with a normal robe, fold it over, cut your neck, and then cut up the middle. And then you're going to flip it inside out and you're actually going to overlay it on top of this. So let me go ahead and do that real fast and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so this is essentially what it's going to look like. It's going to be kind of layered over top of that. Now what I'll do is I will glue it all the way to the edge so the under one is covered up. But before I do any of that, what I'm going to do first is start at the bottom and work my way up. So I'm going to cut my fabric because it's about 2 feet long. I'm going to cut it to length and I'm literally going to line it up with the bottom like this, and I'm going to glue it at the top here and wrap it all the way around. And then once I have that bottom layer on, then I'll come in and do the second layer. Once I have the second layer on, then I'll come in and glue the overcoat on. Before I glue the overcoat, I'm going to make some adjustments to the arm sleeves. So let me do this part first, gluing that on. Once I have it all glued on, I'll show you what it looks like, and then I'll show you what the adjustments to the arm sleeves are going to be. Alright y'all, so here is what it's going to look like with the tapering of the robes. So the original robe is still underneath, but then I applied those layers. I just used glue and glued along the top for each of them. So, and they're layered all the way down. And then to kind of give it a more finished look on the front, all I did was I made sure there was a little excess and I just rolled them over and glued that. So, hey, don't mind my dog's feet. So yeah, that's that. And then from there, you're gonna take your robe that you made earlier, and what I was talking about with the sleeves is you want to cut it right about here. So before the, like, what is that? Like right at this, I'd say, I mean, I'm using a Kylo figure, but I'd say right before that joint right there. So let me lay it out. Scissors are getting dull. And then I'm just going to fold it over. That way they're even on both sides, because you can eyeball it, but it might not be an even cut. So now that that's done, on Bib's outfit, it actually is cut right here. So what I'm going to do is just make about a 1/2 inch incision. I'll do that on both sides, and I'm going to fold this. Take care so you can see. I'm going to fold this in on both sides and glue it like that. So basically his arm is exposed, and then as well the blue of the undershirt, his forearm, that blue will be exposed as well. And then once I glue that and that, then I'm going to place it essentially right over top of this one. And I'm going to line it up along the edge there, edge for edge, and I'm going to glue it in place right along that seam, and then come around the back side and glue it in place right along that seam. And then essentially it'll be done. So I'm going to go ahead and do this real fast, and then I'll show you what the finished product looks like. Alrighty y'all, that's it. He is put together. So we've got his outer robe, and then we've got his blue that he wears, that blue skirt dress thing that he wears underneath. So, and then I've got my cuts, and I just glued them over So, but yeah, so now I gotta just put on his head and his chest armor. So I made his chest armor out of Abe's epoxy. It took a while and a lot of sanding to make, but this was actually made by myself. So as well as his wrist gauntlets. Also made these out of the Abe's epoxy and painted them. Dremeled the little holes individually into each one of them. So pretty time consuming, but I mean, definitely worth it. So, but yeah, here's how the soft goods turned out. I like them, they look great, so can't wait to finish this project. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Thanks, Cube City out.